Who was Hora X? The Battery Point Bomb-Proof Infantry Quarters Tunnel Mystery. I posted a detailed report about the history of this tunnel on Corregidor.org, and I'll leave a link to that report in the description of this video. I first became fascinated with it and its disappearance in 2002, and I was searching for it back then and couldn't find it. 22 years later, I finally had the opportunity to return to the area and search even more diligently, and my companions and I found some interesting artifacts at the site of the former tunnel, and now we're asking for your help in identifying them. A little bit about the tunnel's disappearance, just to recap. Thanks to the 38th Infantry Division M7 historical report, we have an incredible account that explains what happened to the tunnel at Battery Point. On 10 April, activity was observed around the cave at Battery Point. A patrol investigating this lost a man to enemy fire from the cave. It was decided to pour oil down one of the ventilators, and on 12 April, this was started. Just as the first drum was emptied, the Japanese blew up the entire cave. The explosion was terrific, smoke, dirt, and rocks being thrown hundreds of feet in the air, leaving a crater over 100 feet in diameter and 30 feet deep. 9 men were killed, 13 wounded, and 4 missing as a result of this. End quote. So the whole tunnel, or a great portion of it, seems to have been vaporized by this massive explosion. And it was this event that seems to have destroyed it once and for all. March 2024, our visit. I planned an excursion to explore the Battery Point area like never before. My thinking was, despite the explosion, something must remain. My companions and I used maps, measuring tape, and GPS to comb the area where the tunnel once existed to attempt to find any remnants of it. In fact, here's a map that an app on my phone tracked while we were hiking through the jungle. It looks like spaghetti because we just were everywhere in this area. Arriving on Corregidor, we first hiked to the James Ravine Twin Infantry Barracks Tunnel for inspiration. If anything remained of the Battery Point Tunnel, it would look something similar to this. Here you can see the entrance, which is at this time, nearly completely covered up by earth. I mean, we had to scrape away the entrance just to be able to slide in there and get in there. And sadly, I would say in a few years' time, it could be completely covered up. And that's kind of sad. Anyway, once inside, we were able to explore and look around, and I had my GoPro with me. Notice the hooks in the wall and the chains that are still hanging down from the bunk system, just like in the photo from 1941. And then finally, here's some more photos of the remains of the airshaft cupola. And these were taken by Carl at a different date. We wanted to hike up to the cupola, but it was just super overgrown and thick with vines and sharp thorns and stuff, so we didn't go up there on this visit. Inspired by our visit to the Twin Tunnel, we finally began our investigation of the Battery Point Tunnel site. Our efforts over the next few days led to the following fascinating discoveries. First, the concrete chunks. True to the description in the historical report, a large crater or ravine now exists where the tunnel once did. Of course, today it's covered in thick vegetation and, jungle that makes it difficult to explore. But we bushwhacked our way through this, and all over this crater, we found chunks of blown up concrete. Some of the concrete had pieces of rebar sticking out of it. Could these be the remains of the tunnel walls and ceiling that were scattered violently after the explosion? I think so. And this is just what's on the surface. Imagine what's, underneath the earth. Second, we found an oil drum. Turning our attention to the approximate location of the rear air shaft cupola of the tunnel, higher up on the crater hill, we were excited to discover a rusty old oil drum right where the air shaft entrance had once existed. This oil drum could have been one of the actual drums used in the operation described in the historical report. It's probably been resting at this site undisturbed since April of 1945. How cool is that? Note the Boyko brand name on the oil drum. And we did some research about that name, and they were a company that provided metal drums and other stuff to the American military during the war. Okay, finally, the canteens. As incredible as it was to find this oil drum, Battery Point had one more gift to surprise us with. We decided to lift the barrel up out of the ground to see if there was anything underneath it. And lo and behold, we found a number of small artifacts, including this pair of canteens. The canteens were in pretty good condition, and one of them had a name etched into it. The letters seemed to be incomplete and spell out H-O-R-A, and then rust obscures the final letter or letters of the name. Could it be Horan with an N? We began calling it the WWII canteen because we just can't tell what those final letters or letter is of the name. So this is the mystery that we need help solving. Who does this canteen belong to? What is the full name of the soldier who owned it, and could he be one of the killed, wounded, or missing from that fateful day in April of 1945? I searched the list of the 503rd killed in action and wounded on Corregidor just to rule them out, and no name like WWII appears in their rosters, at least that I could tell. I visited the website for the American Battle Monuments Commission and looked up the name Horan there, but I can't seem to find someone with that name who served in the 38th Infantry and was on Corregidor, and I'm also unsure that the name is even Horan at this point. It's just a guess. Going back to my theory that this soldier was part of the 38th Infantry Division just based on the oil drum and the report, I purchased a rare copy of the 38th Infantry Division Avengers of Bataan book on eBay. And in the back of this book, it lists every member of the 38th Infantry Division that served in the Philippines, and especially in 1945. And I actually found a few Horans in this book, but these men still don't seem to have a direct link to Corregidor Island. And again, I'm still only guessing at the full spelling of the soldier's name, and I'm getting a blank. Finally, I tried contacting the National Guard in Indiana, and I even spoke with some folks on the phone at the 38th Infantry Division Museum. These guys are very proud of their history there, and I was hoping they might be able to provide me a list of all the men killed, wounded, and missing in that explosion at Battery Point in April 1945, but unfortunately they never got back to me. I need to follow up with them because honestly, the names of the men in that list probably be really important because they're not listed. It just says that we had a number killed and wounded and missing, but it doesn't say who they were. And I'm willing to bet that one of those names probably has H-O-R-A in it. So anyway, I now turn to you. Can you help? We would like to identify with certainty the name of the man who once used this canteen. The soldier we're calling Mr. WWII for now. Can you help us learn his true identity and help solve this mystery? Man, wouldn't that be exciting? Thanks for your help, and thanks for watching this video.